welcome everybody to the UU Church of Tullahoma Sunday service. I'm going to start this morning and begin with our responsive reading. Don't worry about, you don't have to respond. For the love of all began with the world. All of nature is sacred. Every creature is a thinking, feeling being. We are blessed with wondrous variety. We are part of nature and every being on the planet. What we do to one affects the many. In this web of existence, we are each a strand. Our pushing and pulling moves the fabric of our world. Each bird and insect, each fish and four-legged creature, all are siblings. Let us treat them as we would one another with compassion and dignity and understanding and honor. The love that we show each other radiates. Let me correct that. The love that we show each being radiates outward, a beam of kindness and caring that can be felt with the heart. And in turn, our hearts receive that love from each being, and it echoes onward to eternity. And we're going to do announcements now. I will open up with everybody mark on your calendar, Saturday, May 8th. We will be having a one-day retreat up at Tim's Fort again. Karen has already put down the payment for us, so we have the entire rec center reserved for us. And we will have an itinerary of what we are going to have at the retreat at a later date. Do we have other joys and concerns? No. Or correction, do we have other announcements? Go ahead, Carrie, and then Jim.
Next week, our speaker will be Doug, and I don't have a title for your talk, Doug, so when you get a chance, send that to me if you don't mind.
Hey, Jim, did you have an announcement?
Yeah, just a quick announcement about the nonviolent communication class that's going very well on Zoom. This is, as I said earlier, previously, this is the first one we've done on Zoom. And from my perspective, it's going very well. We're about halfway through. It's a 14-week class, so we're halfway through. And as I said, it's going well. And I think we're at 10 participants, so 4 new people. So it's very, very productive. So that's it. Thank you.
Okay, go ahead, Chuck.
As usual, the Wednesday night discussion group will be meeting Thursday night at 7 via Zoom. Yes, you heard right. It's on Thursday. If you need the Zoom link for that, just get a hold of me or Tom or Rick, and we'll send it out to you. And what we do is basically after we catch up with each other for a while, we play a TED Talk or two and then discuss them. It's been a lot of fun. So join us if you want to.
Okay. Do we have other announcements? Okay. Oh, Carrie, go ahead.
If anybody has any ideas about things they want to have done at the retreat, or they want to do, or they want to see done, or any ideas like that, please let one of the board members know. That's Ricky, me, Rick, Karen, and Costa, and Katie, and Peter.
Thank you for adding that, Carrie. With that, I'm going to move on to our chalice lighting. Why a flaming chalice? The question comes. It's the cup of life, we answer. A cup of blessings, overflowing. A cup of water to quench our spirit's thirst. A cup of wine for celebration and dedication. The flame of truth. The flame of purification. Oil for anointing and healing. Out of chaos, fear, and horror, thus was the symbol crafted a generation ago. So may it be for us, in these days of uncertainty, sorrow, and rage, and a light to warm our souls and guide us home. Okay, and with that, we are going to move on to our talk this morning. and the lovely Carrie Hawk will be speaking to us. So the floor is yours, Carrie.
Well, first I have to preface this with the fact that the title you got was the third one I came up with, and it's not what it's called now. The title today is How to Love Those Who Disagree, or How to Love Those Stupid People. How stupid. How terrible that you could be so stupid. What awful things your friends must think of you. How sad that you have turned your back on reason, embraced outrageous concepts you call true. Your children must be sad to see you've gone so mad. I must admit, it even makes me blue. You haven't lacked at all for education, and yet it seems you've thrown it to the wind. I hope you see the chasm you've created, a gaping rift that we can never mend. That you would even think such thoughts that really stink will bring our nation to a dreadful end. Your arguments are lacking any nuance, while mine displays such great ability. Your talking points are weak and sadly muddled. You are a threat to life and liberty. And you've a final flaw that sticks here in my craw. They say you think the same of me. Unbelievably, that was written in January 2005 by John Lynch. I mean, that is so appropriate for today. You might have some friends and family like these people. A couple we used to go out to dinner with and we thought were very like-minded politically have gone through some changes recently. John was talking with him the other evening and mentioned the 500,000 people who have died from COVID. And Jack said he couldn't believe that many people have died from it. He thought more people died in Vietnam. I knew people who died in Vietnam, he said, but I haven't known anyone who's died from COVID. How can I think about spending time with them when we lost our next door neighbor and I lost my aunt? And they know about both of those. A woman I've done business with for more than 20 years said, well, you know that woman, meaning Kamala Harris, can't be president when Biden dies. I knew what she was implying, but I asked why. Her answer was, well, her parents weren't born in the United States. The political world looks more and more Manichaean, divided into us and them, good and evil, right and wrong. And either side's rhetoric becomes more and more polarizing, said Matthew Sharp, associate professor at Deakin University. Manichaeism was a major religion founded in the 3rd century AD by the Persian prophet Mani in the Sasanian Empire. It taught an elaborate dualistic cosmology describing the struggle between good, spiritual, world of light, and an evil, material world of darkness. The principles of our church teach us how to be with others in our world. We covenant to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of every person. How do we affirm and promote the worth and dignity of people who, against all evidence, believe that Trump won the 2020 election by a landslide? Or even worse, that Democrats drink babies' blood and that Hillary Clinton was running a sex slave market out of a pizza parlor. Last Sunday, Jim read something I'd never heard, but I really agree with. Let me read that to you again. Love is the doctrine of this church. Our faith in each other is its sacrament. Working for justice and living with compassion is its prayer. Reverently, we covenant together to stand on the side of love, to heal and not to harm, to share hope with each other and with the world. Today, I've chosen a topic that I needed to learn more about: how to honor the inherent worth and dignity of every person. I've found myself for the last 4 years having a very hard time honoring this principle, if not overtly, at least in my head. Recently, I found out that one of my grandsons is believing things I cannot fathom. I don't get into conversations with him about these things, mostly because I don't see him that often, and our conversations run to, how are the great-grandchildren and how's work going? My brother doesn't and my sister didn't hold the same political beliefs as I hold, and I have to admit I didn't have a lot of patience with them in this area. So first, I want to talk about the common ways of treating people we don't agree with. We otherize them, we villainize them, and we make them the other guys. They're not like us. We separate ourselves from them. We don't look for commonalities. They're different. They're not educated. They wear different types of clothing. They have lots of tattoos or body piercings. They're so masculine, or they're so feminine. We're good and they're bad. So we need to look for areas of commonality. What do we share? Well, a love of country, love for our children, love of community. But what do they fear? Losing their individual power, losing their home and their lifestyle, losing their families, the same as us. And this leads me to the next item, listening. In order to speak with a little more intelligence on this topic, I've done some research. I've found some interesting ideas and concepts. I've always known that to make other people comfortable, I need to listen. I didn't realize that listen and silent have the exact same letters. Everybody wants to be heard. Years ago, I was doing printing sales. I sold a window envelope to a bank to fit a certain form. We'll say the form was 3 by 5. They had always purchased 3.5 by 5.5 envelopes, but the envelope I sent them was 3.25 by 5.25 and a little bit cheaper. In other words, a 1/4 inch smaller in both sides. Immediately upon their call, these envelopes won't fit. We have to return them. I drove the 35 miles to their office. Now we're talking 50,000 envelopes. So they deserved a quick trip. I walked into the purchasing office and sat down to hear what the lady had to say. Before saying anything, I just listened to her talk. I let her get all her fears and stress out. After all, they needed the envelopes and they needed them to fit. They didn't want to pay $2,500 for the wrong envelope, and on and on and on. After listening to her say all she had to say and asking her a few questions, we resolved the issue to both our satisfactions. I asked her for the form, and it slid right in. I wanted to keep the bank as a customer, and I didn't want to reorder those envelopes or lose my commission or hurt my company. A listening heart is a loving heart. In this experience of finding commonalities and listening, we have to learn not to evaluate unless asked to do so. We can observe and share what we see or hear, but to evaluate without a request is only another way of alienating people. Frequently, evaluating comes off as criticism or blaming, something none of us want to hear. The Dalai Lama said, "Love is the absence of judgment." Here at our church, we've had 3, maybe 4, 14-week sessions of nonviolent communication. Having gone through the course with several others here today, I think it's fair to say that this is one way to learn how to affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of other people through active listening. This is a poem by the founder and developer of nonviolent communication. I can handle your telling me what I did or didn't do, and I can handle your interpretation, but please don't mix the two. If you want to confuse any issue, I can tell you how to do it. Mix together what I do with how you react to it. Tell me you're disappointed with the unfinished chores you see, but calling me irresponsible is no way to motivate me. Yes, I can handle your telling me what I did or didn't do, and I can handle your interpretations, but please don't mix the two. By Marshall B. Rosenberg in Nonviolent Communication. One of the quotes that people use in nonviolent communication is, keep your butt out of other people's faces. Meaning, I heard what you said and I understand, but, and that's where you lose the other person. Krishnamurti once said, observing without evaluating is the highest form of human intelligence. We can add an evaluation, but please preface it with, in my opinion, or it appears to me, or it looks like that. We're still likely to alienate if we evaluate. I once was listening to a coworker about how angry she was that a friend of hers was dating an old boyfriend. I kept listening without commenting, so she turned to me and asked what I thought. Ignorantly, I said, it looks to me like you don't want him, but you don't want anybody else to have him either. Wrong thing to say. She never spoke to me again. Another method is being used today to learn to talk with people of other persuasions is Braver Angels. It's a national organization, and they have what they call blue-red workshops or red-blue workshops. They're online at this time, but they have had them in person, and I'm sure they will again. There's a group in Nashville if you're interested in checking them out. The website is braverangels.org. And I want to close with a quote by Marianne Williamson from her book, Return to Love. Our deepest fear is not that we are inadequate. Our deepest fear is that we are powerful beyond measure. It is our light, not our darkness, that most frightens us. We ask ourselves, who am I to be brilliant, gorgeous, talented, fabulous? Actually, who are you not to be? You are a child of God. Your playing small does not serve the world. There's nothing enlightened about shrinking so that other people won't feel insecure around you. We are all meant to shine, as children do. We were born to make manifest the glory of God that is within us. It's not just in some of us, it's in everyone. And as we let our light shine, we unconsciously give other people permission to do the same. As we're liberated from our own fear, our presence automatically liberates others. And I realize that was short, but thank you.
Thank you very much, Carrie. That was wonderful. I'm going to close with some words from a gentleman named Max Coots. After the words, a quiet. After the songs, a silence. After the crowd, only the memory recalls the gathering. Peace and justice have need of you after the words, the music and the gathering. God grant you the depth for dedication to justice. God grant you the will to be an apostle of peace. And I hope that we see all your beautiful faces back here in about 15 minutes, 20 minutes for a roundtable talk about what Carrie just spoke to us about. And everybody have a lovely day if you are not able to make it, and we will see you next time.